Welcome to another edition of In the Winner's Circle, brought to you by the HPBA of Ontario. Renee Cairns along with Jennifer Morrison. 2 days of racing already in the books. We kicked off our season last Saturday, and you have already made a list, the top 5 elements that you took out of last weekend's racing.
This is my top 5, notable things that happened on the first
This is going to be a regular feature, right?
It's going to be a regular feature. This is your top 5.
This is your top 5.
This is my top 5. My top 5. Okay, you ready for the first one? Here
Lay
we
it
go.
on me. Delegation.
What an effort by this 4-year-old in the Eclipse Prep last weekend. Almost broke the track record for a mile and 16th. He went in 1:42 and 46 100ths. 104 Beyer figure. Just crushed the field.
Impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. Gary Boulanger riding for owner Gary Barber, trainer Mark Casse. Number 2.
The Hall of Famer.
Robert Tiller. Great start. 4 wins. 4 wins on Saturday and Sunday. He had 2 first-time starters win that both of them looked like they were in trouble and still managed to get out of there and win going away. Langstaff and Born to be Queen. Incredible opening weekend for Robert Tiller.
He used to say he wasn't really a 5/8 or a sprint trainer, but you know what? As a Hall of Famer, Bob can train any kind of horse to pretty much do anything.
That's absolutely right. How about his partner in crime there for some of those wins? Eurico Rosa da Silva. He had a lot of good luck on the weekend, but it was a lot of skill too because he was getting those horses out and moving them and dashing them. And, he's been working all winter on his body and his fitness.
Yeah,
He's
a little
ready to
stick
go.
handling through the lane with a couple. And as far as horses working for Tiller during the springtime, Eurico and Omar Moreno were the 2 jocks that I saw on the bulk of them working as a team.
And you've seen Omar also have success too.
Yeah.
Number 4.
The win. Boy, it was... it was incredible. I would not have wanted to be out there on Saturday afternoon.
It was brutal, and kudos to the fans came in anyways. Yeah. And even when Dan Lazelle asked the fans to say they're off in the first race at Woodbine, you could still hear people come out and yell it. The wind, it was not a friend. Speed wasn't holding very well on Saturday. It was holding very well on Sunday. So, where we are situated near the airport there, it's wind.
It's been very windy this spring, a little bit windier than I remember it in the past, but yeah, major wind on Saturday afternoon last weekend.
And that's a handicapping factor you
need
to take into account for sure.
When you see April 20th, you got to remember that it was brutal that day.
Yeah. And number 5.
Darwin Banach.
Oh, not Charles Darwin. Darwin Banach. Now, these horses weren't even in Florida all winter. This guy's got his own little public stable now. He trains for Bill Sirocklett. He has a couple of his own. He won 3 races on the weekend, and they're winning quite easily. So I think a terrific weekend for Darwin Banach.
Well prepared. So we had Eurico do well. We had Bob Tiller do well. And we had Darwin Banach cleaning up pretty much. So that was then. This is now. We are now on to 3 days of racing, so we're going to have 10 races for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, some stake action on Saturday and Sunday, some full cards for Friday. And we can't touch on every race, but a couple of races that have jumped out at us, a couple of maiden races. The first of those that we're going to look at is the 4th race. It kicks off that $100,000 guaranteed pick for.
Yeah, we picked out 2 races, both in the Win For, maiden special weight events. Sometimes the hardest races to pick out. So the 4th race, I think the race comes down to a couple of contenders. I've gone with the number 4 horse, Trade Rumor.
Number 5.
Number 5, Trade Rumor.
Because there's an entry in there.
There's 2 entries.
Yeah, Casse has Brilliant Comet. And you've also got Faker and Scipio, both Stronach-owned horses.
That's right. So Trade Rumor ran 3 times in Florida over the winter, all at a mile and an eighth. Now, I realize he's by Broken Vow, but I think this horse, who's only sprinted actually once in his life, and that was first time out and he broke slowly, I think this horse is going to love the turn back to 7 furlongs. He's meeting some first-time starters and horses that haven't raced. Trade Rumor, not sure you're going to get huge odds on him in the 4th at Woodbine on Friday, but that's my pick. Trade Rumor.
My long shot in there is one that's sent out by Franz Kreen. Will break from the outside of the gate. Impetuous Act. Now, he's raced 3 times. Last year, he raced in June in the Clarendon. Got me a long way to Uncaptured. Went on to be Horse of the Year just last week. Beat 2nd. Was 5th, beaten just 2 lengths to Calgary Cat. Another Mark Casse horse. And then came back in the Simcoe. And that was probably about as roughly run a race, that Simcoe, as I've seen in a long time. A lot of horses got in trouble, and really we didn't see the best of them.
No, and I know Impetuous Act is very highly regarded. He trained in Florida at the Nelson Jones Training Center in Ocala, so reasonably good long shot.
And I think he will be a price. Jesse Campbell is going to be riding for France Green. Let's move on to race number 8. It's another maiden special going 5.5 furlongs. And we've got Airblade from the inside going first time for Sammy Di Pasquale. And you've actually landed on a horse that is going to be a very, very big price.
Well, it's 5.5 furlongs, so obviously Airblade is going to be well bet and, at very low odds. I know he's 2-1. He'll probably be 6-5. But I like Dee's Perfect Soul to hit the exactor or triactor at a price here. Here's a horse that cost $800 at auction. First time gelding, 4 starts as a 3-year-old. When the Lasix and the blinkers got intact for his last 2 starts, one of the races was a route race, and then he showed some good speed sprinting and stayed around a lot longer, finished 5th, beaten 4 lengths. This horse worked in 47 flat the end of March there. So I think first time gelding, Emma Jane Wilson, I'm thinking 5.5 furlongs. This horse is going to be right there in the triactor at big odds.
Yeah, and he definitely will be a price. So I like Airblade in there. Long shot, maybe could be a horse called Well Played that goes out for Mike Keogh. Going to take the blinkers off. Mike had a nice winner on opening weekend as well. I like Nolo, too, going for conditioner Danny Vella. He had 1 race down at the beginning of March at Gulfstream. I thought it was a credible effort at a long price. Contreras is riding him back. I think his breeze here on the poly track, a minute and change, is an indication to me that he's going to like the surface.
Well, certainly you have to look at the workouts. We've got a lot of horses coming up this weekend that have not tried the synthetic. We saw one notable horse last weekend that didn't handle it very well, seemingly, in his first start in the synthetic, and that was in a starter allowance, a horse by the name of Majestic Hope. So pay attention to workouts on the poly if they haven't raced on the poly before.
Let's move over to Saturday, and I know there's a horse that you love, you absolutely love in the first leg of that $100,000 guaranteed pick for race number 4, and his name is
Jack Pine.
Jack Pine. You got to go watch the replay for Jack Pine from last season, the one and only race that he had.
That's right. The chart to comment here does not do it justice. Todd Cable riding this philanthropist gelding. Looks like a pretty sizey horse. Big white face for Liz Sherrilambis in the Cudney Stables. First time out, he hit the gate when he came out of the gate. Then he rushed up, sort of had a good stalking position under a good hold. And then something happened where he shied away from the gap, and his jockey had to steady him and check him, and he lost all kinds of ground. Came around horses, rallied beautifully in the stretch to be second to a very well-regarded 3-year-old by the name of Silent Admirer. So I'm all over Jack Pine. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so that's race number 4. The on-track feature is the Jacques Cartier, and we have the 2-time defending champion, the multiple Sovereign Award-winning Essence Hitman, this season going for Sylvain Pillon. He was with Dave Cody at the end of last season after the passing of Audrey Capaccetti. 124 pounds. I think anybody that tries to go with him is going to race themselves into submission.
Certainly with the Essence Hitman, he's the class of the field. He's the one that everybody's going to be looking at. He's got the breakaway speed, as Jesse Campbell has told us time and again, that just trying to control him is something that Jesse Campbell's had to do. He's getting a little bit older now. The horse is going to be the one to catch. It's like you say, he is very fast. I just think that, as he's a year older, I think that this will be the year that he might get caught in this race. He's won it 2 years in a row. And I think Bear Tough Tiger is going to beat him.
Bear Tough Tiger, boy, he just keeps improving. And you can still see that first lifetime start on his charts back in September of 2011 when he was in for 40. And the Bear horses dead heated for the victory. Bear Tough Tiger and Bear on Fire. Bear No Joke is in there as well. He finished second in the Kennedy Road to a stablemate. What do you make of the Michel Nihe horse Upgrade, a horse that comes in from Keeneland, where he just won pretty easily with a 90 buyer, coming from off the pace, and that was going about 7/8 on the Beard course.
Yeah, certainly Upgrade is an interesting entrant in here. What I find interesting is that he's never actually raced 6 furlongs on...
Done everything but.
He's done everything but 6 furlongs. He will have to hurry. He is obviously a very sturdy 7 furlong, 1 mile horse. He'll have to hurry. But, he's been raced and he's in good form. So right away, he's got the advantage over the Essence Hitman's Bear No Joke, Bear Tough Tiger and all that. A horse that's really working well, that hasn't raced this year is Hammer's Terror. He's been getting comments on the Keeneland Clockers comment website saying that he's retaining high form and strong form. But again, is he a 6 furlong horse? I don't think so.
There's only a couple in here that really are good at 6 furlongs. Bear Tough Tiger is one of them. Essence Hitman, and Bear No Joke a little bit, but like you say, Upgrade has never run at the distance, never mind one. Say No More is not one at the distance. Hammer's Terror, when you think of him, I think of like a mile on the grass or at least 7/8 on the turf. So I think that's going to be a very interesting tilt. That is the Jacques Cartier, $150,000 guarantee going 3/4 with the repeat champion who's looking to make it a three-peat, and that is Essence Hitman. He too was crowned a champion just last week at the Sovereign Awards. Getting over to Sunday, a lot of material to cover here. Sunday has, again, a 10 race program, 2 big races, and I think the fifth is going to be a real corker. Going 5/8 is the New Providence Prep. You've got some very fast horses on paper. This race looks extremely top heavy in speed.
It's top heavy in speed. The only problem is you can't say at 5 furlongs, you can't say, oh, there's too many speed horses, so I'm going to look for a horse that's going to come from way off the pace. Especially if you have a day like, say, last Sunday, where the wind is playing in favor of speed horses. 5 furlongs, a speed horse can win this race, no problem. Having said that, the big favorite in this race is probably going to be Haverhill, horse that was sold by Katerina Vasilyeva after his series of good races at Gulfstream. And then he went to California to race for Gary Barber, who obviously owns Delegation. Ran a very good third there. Now is all the way back in Canada again, back on the poly track. But as we were talking, he's going to be low odds. He's going to be traveling 5 furlongs. He's done a lot of traveling. And what else did we talk about?
Talked about the fact, was it the dirt that improved him so much? He was a hard trier and a nice horse here on the poly, but he really did rocket to stardom somewhat when he hit the dirt.
That's right. I mean, 5-year-old geldings, they're well known to make this
Was that
vast
a test?
improvement.
Did I pass that test?
You passed that test. You answered the quiz.
What else did we talk about? We talked about the dirt.
That's right. And this horse went from running 70s and 60 Beyer figures to 80s, 101, and then 92. So was it the dirt? Perhaps. He's a bet against at low odds. So let's look at somebody else. I've gone with a real long shot. I'm not saying this horse is, a major win candidate, but how about a real long shot, an Executive 5? If you look at the race records of these horses in this race, who has the most wins at 5 furlongs? Executive 5.
Executive 5.
Jesse Campbell, hustling out of there. Rode the horse last year, finished 3rd in the New Providence, was 2nd in the debut stakes, coming out firing, I think. Outside, I love outside speed when there's a race with a lot of speed. He's a legit 5 furlong horse. But there's a classy horse in here that I know you like, and I'm skeptical.
Yeah, I like Paso Doble. We do have to give honorable mention, though, to Jenna's Wabbit, no doubt about it. This is a horse that shows up each and every time. He's made $500,000 with 6 wins from just 11 starts. Last year, belated start to his campaign, but he doesn't need the lead, and he has one going 5/8. But the horse that I think is going to be a price, and this will be the time to get the price, and we're going to find out if he's still got it or if his best days are behind him, Paso Doble. Now, he's coming off a poor effort, no doubt about it. He was in the New Providence last season. Gypsy Ring was the winner. He raced down at Keeneland, 12-1, got beat a long way. Was that enough to shake the rust off? He's since come back to work okay. He's going to be a price, but it's also, in my opinion, going to be a deciding race for whether or not he's going to be able to fit with these horses anymore, whether he's still got it, because $600,000 beside his name, the horse obviously has accomplished a lot. As a 7-year-old, does he still have it to give, though?
That's right. And, how is he going to run this race? 5 furlongs, he's got all the hot speed on his inside and his outside. Is he going to try and sand? Is Patrick Husbands just going to let him fall out of there and try and make a bid? Certainly the class of the race. But, again, I'm skeptical, just like Haverhill.
Yeah, there are some question marks. What about the Whimsical? It's a grade 3 event. We're going to go 3/4, or the horses are going to go 3/4 in here. And Nick Gonzalez has put 3 in. Starship Universe, first off the claim, a horse that he took down at Gulfstream for Tucci. Also a Tucci horse is Evil Kitten, one that Eurico da Silva is going to ride. And I find it interesting that Eurico da Silva has been the regular rider and the only rider of Manstaff, but he's going to ride Evil Kitten, and Manstaff will be ridden by Jermaine Bridgemahan.
Well, I think the tricky part of this race is the horses that look like the major contenders have never raced on synthetic surfaces. I think Sisterly Love is the best horse in the race. I know she's only raced a few times for a 5-year-old. She just turned 5. But I think this is a really serious horse who wants to sprint. She hasn't raced since March 2nd at Aqueduct when she was stretching out for the top flight. But before that, she had won 3 consecutive races and then was third to Joyful Victory in a stakes event at Sam Houston. I think Sisterly Love is the best horse in the race. And that's the Mark Casse trainee. And I think the other Mark Casse trainee, Northern Passion, 10-month layoff. She's a triactor filler to me. But I mean, I think the 2 Casse horses. But I know there's another shipper in there from California.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good fit. You got Bob Baffert, who was the trainer of Distracting, now goes with Josie Carroll, gets in nice and light with 115 pounds. And Rafael Bejarano has ridden the horse to victory on a number of occasions. High percentage winner, 7 starts. She's got 3 wins already. Remember, Santa Anita now a dirt course, not a synthetic surface anymore. She's won at the distance. I think she could find herself in a pretty nice tracking position.
And she had a workout on a poly track at Keeneland recently, which was an above average workout according to the clockers there in their comments. So Distracting, obviously purchased by Hillendale for a broodmare prospect.
Well, they bred her, so they just brought her home.
That's right. And seeking a little bit more black tape here and perhaps a stakes victory.
I think this is a very interesting field. Manstuff making her first start against older horses, but pretty much everybody in here is a 4-year-old except for Sisterly Love. She's the only 5-year-old, so I don't think that's really a factor. I like Manstuff. I think she can run well fresh, but I'd like to know if Eurico had his choice, because he's the only one who's ever ridden Manstuff, but he's going to be riding Evil Kitten, and he's ridden her to success in the past. So it'll be interesting if all 3 of the horses run, because they entered
Certainly,
all 3.
yes.
You've got the Tucci that own couple. Martha Gonzalez owns Manstuff along with Mike Call. So I think this is a pretty interesting card. The Whimsical, the Grade 3, is going to be the stake on Sunday afternoon. A bit of an extended version of In the Winner's Circle here. And one more thing that's going to become a regular feature. We saw Jen with her top 5 elements from last weekend that jumped out at her.
On multicolored paper.
On multicolored paper with big, bold print. And we're going to try and introduce you to some of the players in the game. And right now I have here a top 5 list of 5 things you don't know about Emma Jane Wilson. She absolutely loves to play pranks on people. She sat in a closet for an hour one time so she could jump out at Huey Chapman when he worked for Mark Frost down in the Sampson Farms down at New Orleans. Sat in the closet for an hour waiting for her opportunity to just scare the pants off of him. Now that's dedication.
That sounds about right.
Terrible housekeeper. She hates doing laundry. Her sister actually does the house cleaning and her laundry. She was actually thrown out of riding camp for being a terror, a horror, completely disruptive.
No big surprise.
Yeah,
there.
if you know her, then that is really absolutely no surprise. In college, she took a semester of arboriculture, which is
I don't know. What
tree
is it?
climbing. I don't know how many credits she got for that, but she took a semester of tree climbing, and her favorite show is The Big Bang Theory, and she loves to watch it as she hates tomatoes. Bit of a non sequitur there, but that'll work.
We love learning funny little things. We're going to try and give you the top 5 fun things that you don't know about some of our personalities at the track. And who knows, maybe one day we'll have one on.
A personality.
A personality.
Well, you got 2 right here.
Oh, that's true. What's wrong with us?
Another edition of In the Winner's Circle. Hopefully we gave you a little bit of information that you can use to find yourself in the Winner's Circle. This edition, of course, brought to you by the HPBA of Ontario. Good luck with your handicapping.